30 years ago, in a small Bay Area town, a killer kidnapped 3 men and dumped their bodies in a secluded valley just off Interstate 80. But then, just as quickly as the killings began, they suddenly stopped. The men and their murder were quickly forgotten, overshadowed by other notorious serial killers prowling the same Bay Area roads. In this season of Crime Adjacent, host and serial killer survivor Chase Patrick returns home to uncover what really happened in Ridgewood and to answer the question once and for all: how could the most prolific serial murderer in American history slip under the radar for so long? Crime Adjacent is the never-ending true crime story told weekly. Listen to Crime Adjacent wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to So Much Crime, So Little Time, Summer Shorts. I'm Dee.
And I'm Jeff, and for our summer series, we're recapping single episode stories.
Here we're discussing Invisible Choir, specifically the episode Final Destination. That's episode 146 that was released on the 30th of May, 2025.
If you haven't listened yet, you can find a link for Final Destination, this specific episode, in our show notes.
Okay, Jeff, let's jump in.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand this from the start.
Okay.
All right, just to place us in this episode, this is about this guy, Jerry Odum, his fiancé, Vickie Edge, summer of 2020. They start dating, and then he murders her. That's the short version of the story.
Yep.
There's obviously a lot more here. There's a lot of information packed in this episode. I have questions. I have thoughts. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I mean, if you've questions and thoughts, let's start there.
Okay.
I just have I've vibes, feelings, comments, but go with the questions.
Okay, so my first question. Let's start at the worst part of this story.
The worst part in terms of what he did, or in terms of the podcast?
Yeah. What he did.
Okay.
The bat. He goes to Walmart. He goes in at 8:54, and he leaves at 8:59 with a bat. Then 8 days later, he hits her with the bat. She screams. She says, "Why are you doing this?" It's because he doesn't have the money that she thinks he had. And he has sort of spun this web of lies about money. He pretended to have jobs and income that don't exist. And then he chokes her to death basically with the bat. First of all, that's horrific. I mean, that's just awful. Second of all, they'd been dating for 4 months tops?
Mm-hmm.
He also had a lot of guns, and he chose to use a bat, which seems just so much more violent and brutal and painful. And he had been married for 18 years or something, and had within the last year divorced from his wife. His ex-wife basically said there was no signs of violence. He never hit her or anything like that. I just don't how do you go from A to B? So many things. And how do you, to the point where this wasn't just a crime of passion. He thought about this. He had that bat for a week thinking about doing this. And then he did it.
I think a shitty and simple, which often is in some ways the answer to a lot of these things, is the shitty and simple answer, unfortunately, that I could provide. We're not provided with it, but is that he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it was, they say, maybe, and I find this hard because we're hearing a podcast that is telling us something, but it's not fact. We don't there's no evidence to back this part up, what I'm going to say next. But it says maybe this is the first time he's been sober in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That he actually comes clean and says what's actually after happened, and he kind of owns up to it and says to the police, like, actually, you know, the alcohol has fully left my system now. Yeah, no, I killed her. Like, he didn't fight it once it was found out.
That was sort of subtext.
You know, and
I wish it wasn't.
the alcoholism.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was subtext though, because I feel like if they laid into it too much, it becomes an excuse. And I know in a way what you're saying is what's the excuse, but it's not an excuse. Like, what's the reason? Yeah, I understand that's one of the reasons why the choice was made and the choice was so bad, but it's not an excuse. And I think if they laid into it too much in the podcast, it would have been an excuse, and it shouldn't be deemed that. I think they're very different things.
I hear you. I guess that's true. I mean, that speaks to something that I was going to ask about the show itself and the kind of the production of it, because I did feel like the show kind of had some elements of things that we have really liked in the past, but like hearing the 911 calls, hearing the bits of tape of the interrogation, stuff like that. But it was mostly just sort of dry narration. What did you think of that balance?
It's kind of like, I mean, I think the whole purpose of the podcast, from what I'm getting for it, is like to tie all this together. It's an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah,
20
I mean,
minutes,
what? Something
with
like that.
some ads.
Yeah.
So say an hour and 10, give or take. These are the primary sources. These are the bits that I'm gonna like fill you in on, like that I've read, to tie it all together. Like, this is my inference, like coming from my end. Make what you will of it. It's an independent podcast, so I don't think we can expect it to be like fully investigative and like interviewing all these different people. Like, that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is just like, I want to show you what I've garnered from like my research of this and what I think. I didn't think the host was overly pushing his agenda. You know, I don't think it was very much like my opinion. But the narration, it was a dry narration, but like, Jesus, like, we don't need any more drama in your voice. Like, I would have hated if it was like, and then he decided, like, that would have wrecked me. Because like, I think the hardest part for me, and like the most gruesome part, I know you were talking about the bat, but it was initially when we had heard him, I think, say that he told her to put the blanket over her head and said, I have a surprise for you. That part was hard. And then later, when we hear from the ex-girlfriend, not the ex-wife, I can't remember the ex-girlfriend's name. Do you have the name down?
Yeah, her name was Sandra.
So then we hear about the ex-girlfriend, Sandra. And she is like, oh, he used to always surprise me. And it was always these surprises. And it was always like, surprise. And I was like, oh my God, he obviously did that for her as well. So this whole blanket over the head was probably always a thing for them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't weird. Like, if my husband turned around to me tomorrow and was like, put a blanket over your head, I have a surprise for you, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, that's so weird. Like, that's not, we don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something we do. I don't know. That part was the one that stuck to me, because it felt like it was nearly backed up then. Like, so he said it, that's what he had said to her. And then when the ex-girlfriend said it, I was like, oh, like, this is what he does. And he's used what he's done in the past for her as a way of being like, oh, this is going to be a nice thing.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. I see that now. I think, and just to maybe close the thought on kind of the structure of the podcast and kind of the tone of it, from my perspective, I feel like it was, in a way, it felt very dry, and that there were some things that I wish there was more information on. Like, I felt like there was more to the ex-wife story. I felt like there were some things we didn't get, but like, that's contrasted with the amount of very specific details of things we did get. And I thought it was interesting just how specific some of that was, including, like, you know, those timestamps on when he was in Walmart. His meal at the Mexican restaurant was carnitas and a daiquiri. You know,
Did you not think that was important though?
No. I thought that was helpful. I thought the specificity of that, like how just like those were good interesting details. Actually, that moment, that going out to the Hampton Inn and to the Mexican restaurant, so after the murder, before he's caught, that was one of the other things I want to ask you about, because I feel like, okay, to be flippant for a second, like it made me think like, okay, what would I do in this situation, knowing like this is potentially like my last free night, done something
To be
horrific.
flippant, you've done something horrific. Can you imagine ordering a fucking daiquiri? I was like, that's what you're ordering. Like, get a fucking double whiskey or a tequila. Get like something. Like, you are at a Mexican restaurant and you're ordering. I was like, tell me it's a margarita. At least that'd be a margarita.
Just get tequila. Just get tequila.
Oh no,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but like at least let it be a margarita. Fucking daiquiri.
If you're not going to pay off that credit card, go somewhere nicer than a Hampton Inn. Hampton Inns are fine.
That's a very good point.
But yeah, anyway, that's flippant. I do think it was a bizarre glimpse into one of those moments. And I feel like that's one of the things that like, I don't know, just thinking about this, all these true crime stories that we've done. And this is just one of those interesting things of like, this is one of those moments that hopefully I will never know what it's like to be in this moment. Hope I never am. But it's this moment of like human behavior and like human psychology of, yeah, what do you do? And then like extending that through what he does next, right? Where he goes to his friend's house. He stays there all day. They watch Final Destination. They order a pizza. You know, he goes home. He walks the dog. The brother comes to the house and he just hides in the house like they're not going to know he's there. Like her car is in the driveway. He's taking the plates off the car. Actually, that leads me to a question. Why did he take the plates off her car? What was he doing?
I don't know what he was planning to do. There has to have been something more, because honestly, like, his excuse, okay, this is going to sound weird. How do I say it? His excuse for not just shooting her and instead beating her up and then strangling her with a baseball bat, which is obviously the more gruesome way to kill her. And also, like, you've been dating for 3 fucking months. Just break up with her. It's not fucking that hard. Like, it's just not that hard. It's not that hard. Anyway. Okay. You have all these guns. You're like, one of your worries is the noise in the neighborhood. So apparently, I don't know much about guns, but I have heard of these things called silencers, but I've also heard of these things called pillows. And in movies anyway, sometimes they just use a pillow instead.
Yes, that is true. Whereas you think a woman screaming as you beat her to death with a bat is going to draw the attention of the neighbors.
Number 2 was the mess. Now, go fuck yourself saying the mess is the issue, because, well, first of all, the bat's going to be better. Again, I'm sorry not to get gruesome. Seems like not the best idea. Second of all, I don't know. This is where we're messed up. Like, this is the point now where you're like, the mess is the issue.
Yeah. To your earlier point, I think the alcohol, I mean, his ex-wife mentioned that was like 4 years ago. He really started drinking. Mm-hmm. That seems to have gotten carried away. And there's other signs of that, right? Like the fact that he got this tattoo of their names when they'd only been dating for a couple of months. And okay, not a tattoo guy, but I feel like that's real sudden. That's real quick.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still thinking about getting my wife's name tattooed on me, and it's been 25 years. Yep.
I mean,
can we flip this and talk about something other than him?
Yes. Well,
Sorry.
I was going to actually just do that. I thought it was really interesting to hear from Sandra, because there seemed to be so many commonalities between Sandra and Vickie. But Sandra called his bullshit and Vickie didn't.
Sandra going back to the ex-wife with the ring?
Well, yeah. But like Sandra even saying like he was talking about like buying a house and getting married, and we were only together like 3 months, and I was like, whoa, like what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I think it's one of those stories that you're like, fuck, I wish it hadn't been during COVID, because I'd imagine that the like intensity of the pandemic and all of like everything that went on there. And I know we're in Florida and there was like different like regulations there than maybe you in California, me in Dublin would have like felt. But
Sure.
we're still dealing with kind of panic over, like in some way, I'd imagine, over this kind of stuff. Your face is
Maybe.
like, we're not dealing with that here. Okay, maybe we're not.
Well, but it's not just Florida, it's Panhandle, Florida, which is, I feel like, I mean,
I
Florida
don't know.
was sort of known for not really having much in the way of safety or anything like that. They kept the schools open more than other places. But I do think that's a good point of like, I think COVID sort of heightened the intensity of this for sure. But also to be Sandra, to be the girlfriend before the one who gets murdered.
Mm.
Like that's a weight you carry with you, I feel like, for the rest of your life. Like I feel like you think about that all the time if you're in that situation. No?
Yeah, I think she probably will, but I think, I mean, I'm sure she, I don't know. It's very hard to know. I think it would only be something we'd be able to ask her, but I think in a way we have to take it away from her focus and be like, it was him. Like he was going through some sort of scenario. If he's with his wife for 18 years and there is no sign of violence or aggression or anything like that, and he goes from that, as you said, to like murdering someone with a baseball bat that he apparently loves. We didn't hear from the ex-wife as to whether he was like a liar. Like, why did they get divorced?
We don't know. We didn't hear that.
Like, why is he coming out of an 18-year marriage with feck all? Is it because he was always lying and he was always shit with money?
Maybe. I also want to say something that we didn't get was, okay, so Vickie, a little bit of the sort of perfect victim syndrome. When I listened back a second time and I listened to how she was introduced, so she managed this day spa. She made banana bread for people. She volunteered at a women's shelter and with the elderly. She was hoping to donate a kidney, but then she got colon cancer. I feel like we didn't hear a negative thing about Vickie. That stuck out to me. It didn't stick out to me the first time I listened to it, but the second time I listened to it, I thought, yeah, like what else was there to her? Like that she wasn't a fully fleshed out person.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, and I did feel like that throughout this episode. I even felt like, is that it? Like, are we finished? Like, how are we finished? I feel like there's more to it. It was very much focused on him. And I feel like more of Vickie could have been shown. Even like, as you say, like the not so, like the not polished version, the not volunteering and blah, blah, blah version, the like real raw version of like, sometimes she was a selfish brat or like whatever, right. Like, she really liked her blah in the evening, whatever it is. But like hearing that aspect, like I always think it gives a layer of, I don't know.
I didn't walk away from this really knowing who she was other than a victim.
Yeah.
She's a victim and that's kind of it. I did get a sense of like, we got a glimpse into her brother, Derek, and his sort of remarkable persistence. And like, there was that moment where he turned off I think it was the air conditioning unit or something on the outside of the house to hear better. Like that was a little detail that stuck out to me because I was like, who does that? Do you ever knock on someone's door
amazing.
And then you're like, I'm going to go make this quieter?
Also, can we discuss that? Like, just that entire situation. He rang emergency services because someone was banging on his door for 10 minutes.
Jerry calling 911. That
like for like 10 minutes in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what they want.
Is that a thing people do?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I suppose it's better than what other people do, which is like go out with their gun. But like, and I suppose in a way, now to be fair, actually, I need to row this back because when anyone knocks on my door, I'm like, oh my God, I'm being killed, because nobody ever knocks on my door who I don't expect to be like arriving at my door.
Can I ask you, is it normal for the 911 operators to connect that there are two calls coming from the same place? Like, I don't know how their systems work. Maybe that's how their systems work.
I don't know how their systems work. It must be some connection like that. They were like, two in the same address, and they surely have to connect in order to give the emergency services all the information, I presume.
But that was sort of fascinating, right?
It was.
The idea
that
they made this connection. And it's like, yeah, they're also on the phone with us calling about you.
What do you think about like the podcast as a whole? Would you like listen to more?
It wouldn't be at the top of my list.
Really?
I don't think. I mean,
okay.
would you? I mean, I can say why, but would you?
No, I want to know your whys.
One thing I like, so I went over to the website because I kept hearing him talk about his FOIA, his Freedom of Information Act requests, and I mentioned earlier how there were some of those clips like that I like, and he has actually a really exhaustive sources list on the episode page where it's like, I don't know, 25 or something bullets of all his FOIA requests and like links to articles that were his sources, which I thought was really nice. But I think that to me, the balance of like primary sources versus like him reading his essay on the case was off. I wanted more of the former, less of the latter. Knowing that we had some of those things, like I would have loved, this is the type of case where I would love to have heard an interview with Derek or with just like a little bit more of that primary stuff and less of what we got. As well as I felt like that balance of things like it was really about, it was like the Jerry story. It wasn't the Vickie story. And so that balance to me was also off. So I'd be curious if all episodes are like this, if this was an outlier. I mean, this was one episode in a series with over almost 150 episodes. So it'd be interesting to listen to more, but this wouldn't be at the top of my list.
Interesting. I'm intrigued by this because I don't know. I liked it. I was intrigued by the story. I didn't feel like the narration. I didn't think the host, Michael, was too forceful with his opinion throughout. Like he was kind of narrating and like kind of letting things flow through. I do get your point about the balance, but I will say, if he's looking at trying to, I'm from like a podcasting point of view. He's not looking at a series here per crime. He's looking at a podcast that he wants to get probably in under an hour and 45. What are the most important aspects in order to tell the story? Is the Derek interview going to make it in there? Or is the Derek interview and all those bits that you would like to be in there? Yes, great in there. But for like 4 or 5, 6-parter.
Yeah.
Split over, 30 minutes, which I feel like we speak about this quite a lot recently, but like that's a different podcast.
But let me argue with you on that for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So when we
let me sip my tequila while I wait for my argument. While I mull over my rebuttal. Is that what it's called when I go back?
Yeah, it is. Let me jump all the way back to one of our early episodes that we've brought up many times before. Black Girl Gone. Black Girl Gone was one of the first ones we did that was in a similar style of it's a narrator talking about a single story, and
30 minutes long maybe.
That's my point. I feel like if you're going to do a story like this in a style like this, to me that was more of a sweet spot of kind of get in, tell the facts of the story, and get out. Here, and maybe it's just about crossing like that hour boundary of like, there's enough here, there's enough time here where either go all in and do like a, I mean, he could have spent the same amount of time doing like 5 15-minute episodes, or there's a lot of math I could do on this, but like, he could have done more of like a short series where he included more of that. I think it's part of this I just like that more than I'd rather listen to.
That's what I was going to say. Like if you go on Reddit, there seems to be like a real split with like people who are like, my preference is over an hour, won't listen to anything less.
Yeah. Longer
the better. Or 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes is sweet spot. That's the split. I understand what you're saying, but if they do if he was to have done a Black Girl Gone, like that's not this podcast.
No, and I'm glad we're getting some diversity here, because the other way that he could have gone with this is it could have been him and someone else, where that other person is either another sort of expert or is just sort of like doing color commentary, reacting to what he's saying. I don't think his style would have fit that. So this is sort of something different from that style. It's different from the half an hour kind of like short form. This is just, I mean, there's so many different formats that you can do with this. So I appreciated that. But I guess, yeah, I mean, is this my favorite format? No. But it was certainly interesting. It was well made. Like, I thought it was well produced. I thought it was overall
I have a question
well
for
told.
you.
Okay.
You listened to this twice.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically what you're saying is, I think it was too long.
Mm-hmm.
Did you...
Is that what I'm saying? That's part of what I'm saying. Yeah.
I feel like that's what you're saying. Like, you want to be more succinct, or you want to be split over like multiple episodes. So
I wanted more primary
my question,
sources.
Okay, so you wanted it to be longer.
I wanted the balance of primary source to sort of more like editorial or storytelling to be different.
Did you go through and create a like estimation of the like split?
Like what that ratio is in the episode we listened to?
Mm-hmm. Because I think I remember with like Black Girl Gone from memory, I was like, okay, this was like 27 minutes minus ads. And I went through and like I did like a full list of all of the things we heard in that 27 minutes. And I was like, or it might have even been 22 minutes. I can't remember. I remember from that being like, I went through, I minused our ads. We're at this amount and this is all we've covered. And like, this is incredible. Like, I remember doing that. I remember being so impressed that they got through so much content in such a small amount of time.
I'm impressed that you remember that with that level of detail.
Well, that was a really good podcast.
It was. I'm going to guess, and I didn't document this, but I'm going to guess in this episode we listened to, it was an hour and 20 with ads. It was probably an hour and 10 without ads. That hour and 10, so let's call it 70 minutes. I'm going to guess there was no more than 10 minutes where we were listening to primary sources. And it was
Can we
60.
just talk about the fact that you just said, let's call it 70 minutes? Like, as if you're like estimating the hour and 10. Like, an hour and 10 is 70 minutes. It's not like let's call it 70 minutes. Like, it is just 70 minutes. Sorry,
in the ballpark
that is such a
of
side note. Okay,
somewhere
estimate
between
it. Okay.
60 and 80 minutes.
Okay. Let's call it 70 minutes. And you're saying it's only 10 minutes of primary sources?
Yeah. Would you disagree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would have thought it would be more like closer to a 30-70 split.
Like where we're listening to like the 911 call or like...
Are you describing what a primary source is to me? Is that what you're doing right now? Is that actually where we just went to? Is that what just happened? Can we just take a breath, take a sip of your whiskey and realize what you just did there?
Sometimes, let me just explain this to you so you understand. When women feel like a man is... I'm not sure you understand.
Oh dear. You did it. I did. I can't believe, you did that. Okay. So we went there and now we're going away.
If you didn't call me out on that, we couldn't keep doing this. I think
no, 30-70 is a good split, I think, more so for it. Either way,
wait,
I feel
so you
like...
sincerely think it was 30-70 or 70-30, whatever, however you're going to say that.
Pretty sincerely. I thought I was pretty impressed with the amount of primary sources we got for it.
Okay. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I didn't feel that way, but...
I mean, you felt strongly enough for it. You listened to it twice through, but you didn't want to bring the details. So if you don't want to bring the numbers, like we can just, say whatever. Could just make it up. That's what they do these days, isn't it? They just make this shit up. But I do want to say, like, why was Hugh so prominent at the start? I was like, he's dancing in the garden. I was like, what? Like, why is he so prominent? And then he just disappears. Like, why waste your time on that?
That's a great question. Hugh was seemingly a character, but so
just more like, oh, he's a great character. They like to drink together. Like when Jerry went over to drink water, it was weird because he never drank water.
Yeah.
Hugh knew them really well.
Yeah, there were some weird details in here. Yeah.
There were. I would definitely listen to another one. Would you listen? You wouldn't be top of your list. I would listen to another one. I'm saying this about so many of our single shorts, but I would love to listen to an episode of this, of a crime I knew about. So I feel like I'd be more judgmental of like the structure of it. Do you remember we did the crime, the way we did the crime battle?
Yeah. You want to do a crime
Is
battle?
that what we called it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
crime
I love a crime battle. I think the crime battle is really interesting. I think the way we should do our next crime battle is a full series versus one long episode. So like an hour and
Oh.
40 or an hour and 20.
That's not really fair. Is that fair?
Why?
Because how does the short one win? Brevity? Like if you love.
How many long episodes have we listened to that we were like, what the fuck was episode 2 and 3 about?
Okay, if it was West Cork versus a one episode version.
Well,
of that
no, because
story.
West Cork was so many episodes that even if they cut it down, it was like, well, that was great. That was 7 hours. Like, it would still have been great.
That's an interesting
But-
idea. I'm down. Let's try it.
Okay, let's do it. That's
All right.
And I wouldn't be opposed to going back to Invisible Choir for one if we found one.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Jeff, I took the train to work today with my bike.
How was that?
It was great. So waited on the platform, like cycled 5 minutes, waited 2 minutes, get on, buckle my bike in, and as I'm standing there with my bike, I'm on the train. I've only got like 3 minutes, I think, on the train before I'm getting to my destination. And I'm like, what am I going to do with 3 minutes? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to patreon.com/so-much-crime, so little time. Why? Why would I go there? Why would I go? Because there I'll get longer time machines. I'll get early release episodes. I'll even get a chance to listen to some bonus content, outtakes, and you'll get to support the show. And also, you'll really get to hear some more times where I am telling Jeff to calm down, stay in his lane, and don't over-explain to me and condescend and pretend I don't know what words mean.
That's patreon.com/so-much-crime, so little time. Also, before we go, if you liked our discussion on Invisible Choir, leave us a comment. And don't forget to give us a rating. If you haven't yet, please rate us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. And also help spread the word. Tell a friend. Tell everyone you know. Check out So Much Crime, So Little Time. All right, we'll be coming back on Thursday with another preview and a trip in our time machine.
We'll introduce a crime and get ready to listen to the story before coming back with a recap like this one to discuss.
That's on the next So Much Crime.
So little time.
So Much Crime, So Little Time is a production of Mind Glove Media. The executive producer is Paxton Caloriso. Our associate producer is Blythe Ty. Our theme music was composed by Vyacheslav Starostin. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this show on your podcast app. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and a review. Even better, tell your friends. To join the discussion, look for us on social media. Check out the show notes for all the links. Thanks for listening.